So after removing the side panels, I went ahead and removed all of the panels at the rear as well. Also took out the gas tank. This right hand drive shaft seems to have a thinner diameter than the one on the left, and also the gaiters on the end of the boots seem fairly new. It's obviously a new drive shaft that was put in there. However, on this side they're old, and there's obviously not a new part. With the side panels off, I figured it was the perfect time to freshen everything up. I gave all the exposed areas of the frame a fresh coat of paint. It's one of those jobs that doesn't seem urgent, but once you do it, the whole car just looks and feels so much better, especially knowing that those hard to reach areas are protected against rust. It's a small effort now that could save a lot of headache down the line. I also got to the remaining sections of the frame that hadn't been painted yet. The engine mounts in particular needed some attention, so I gave those a good clean up and then hit them with the paints too. It's satisfying seeing all these raw parts look shiny again. Now, after a trial fit of the side panel, the panel wouldn't sit flush against the frame. It turns out that the floor panel was getting in the way. Nothing too major, just one of those little things that crop up and slow you down. So out came the sheet metal shears, and I trimmed the edge of the floor panel until we had the clearance we needed. Once the side panel was fitting nicely, we moved on to making the front panel, basically repeating the same steps we took on the passenger side. As it feels familiar the second time round, it definitely goes quicker. These side panels come supplied a bit longer than needed on purpose, so that they need to be cut down to the right size. There are no measurements, guides, or real instructions for this. It's entirely up to you to decide what looks right. It's a little intimidating at first, but it's also kind of freeing to not be limited by a set of plans. For the suspension clearance cutouts, it was the usual trial and error method. Start small, take a bit off at a time, check the fit and repeat. It's slow going, but it means you don't take off too much and ruin the panel. It's one of those areas where patience really pays off.
Spin it round.
You want to come over this end then, don't you?
Yeah.
I would think. Nah.
Again. Excellent.
Bottom of the panel, I bent a lip that folds underneath the lower frame rail. This lets us secure the panel from underneath using rivets, keeping the fixings hidden from view. It gives a much cleaner look when the car's finished. Just a nice little touch that makes the build feel that bit more professional. The same method is used all around the car. Once everything was trimmed, bent and lined up, I drilled the holes and riveted the panel in place. That's always a satisfying moment, one more piece firmly fixed in place.
Less haste, more speed. Right.
With the panels sorted, I could finally start assembling the freshly painted suspension components on the driver's side. This brought it up to the same stage as the passenger side, which felt like a nice milestone, starting to feel like progress.
Does that fit over without...
Yeah. Just get some lifting.
Now that the front wheels were fitted, it was time to make a start on the braking system. I began with the front calipers. They were in pretty rough shape, completely seized when I pulled them off, so I stripped them down, cleaned everything thoroughly, and gave them a fresh coat of paint. I ordered a caliper service kit to rebuild them with all new seals and components. That's always worth doing, especially when you're dealing with brake parts. You want everything to be as safe and reliable as possible. Next, I moved to the rear of the car and began the teardown. I removed the rear brakes, the brake pipes, the suspension and the drive shafts. All of this had to come off to give a proper access for painting the subframe. It's a fair bit of work, but once everything's stripped, you really see the structure of the car clearly. It's kind of cool seeing it in this raw state. I took the suspension brackets down to bare metal and painted them, again just cleaning off the old rust and grime and giving it a fresh start. It's repetitive work, but there's something satisfying about it. Put on a good playlist or a podcast and you're in the zone. Next up was cleaning the rear brake drums. I used my go-to method, the wire brush attachment in a drill. Works well even if it does throw bits of rust absolutely everywhere. The brake drum decided to entertain me by ringing like a bell the whole time I was working on it. Now, for a bit of fun, I decided to bring in some colour. The brake drum's got a coat of red paint. It's a bit of a bold choice, I know, but I wanted to break up the black and silver and give the car a bit of character. Right now, they look shockingly bright, but once they're fitted and behind the wheels, the red becomes more of a subtle accent that really works. The rear brake components all mount to a backing plate, and this one had definitely seen better days. There was quite a bit of bubbling in the paint caused by rust creeping underneath. Getting that old paint off wasn't easy. It fought me the whole way, but eventually I got it cleaned right back to bare metal. I gave it a coat of etching primer to make sure the new paint sticks and holds up long term. Finally, the subframe and the freshly cleaned backing plate got a nice coat of black paint to finish them off. Seeing all the parts cleaned up and painted is one of the most rewarding parts of the build like this. That wraps up this episode. Lots of small steps, but they all add up to real progress. Thanks for watching.